talk high-tech, the high-tech issue of the week with Paul Brislen, twitter.com/Paul Brislen, and the head of TUANZ, Telecommunications Users Association of New Zealand. G'day there, Paul, the giant head.
The giant head. Look at that. I'll get a little bit closer, shall I? But I come way back, maybe. Hey, so were you playing that song deliberately just for me?
No, maybe indirectly, yes. Today we're talking... No, not really, because okay, let's talk about it. Quickflix launched yesterday in New Zealand. Yep. Quickflix.co.nz. It's an Australian movie, TV streaming company, and they've come into New Zealand to shake things up, Paul.
They have, but you think they're shit.
We'll get round to that. Tell us what it is first.
Okay. Oh, I'm jumping in ahead. So, yes, Quickflix launched yesterday. I went along to the media launch, had a bit of a play with it. They're going to charge $16.95 a month for access to the content. You can watch any of their TV shows, any of their movies that are in the regular section. They do have a pay-per-view section as well for the newest stuff, and that's what is that? Oh, there it is, $7 each for each of the movies from that area. However, they've come in for a wee bit of flack, I have to say, on day one of the launch, because as far as I can tell, they're not Netflix. They've got quite a limited range at this stage of content. And several...
hang on. They're not only not Netflix. It's not that they're just not Netflix, because I don't think a lot of people even really know what Netflix is or what's even on Netflix. They aren't the DVD store. Is what they're not.
No, they're not. They're not at this stage, and they were quite upfront about that. They've got about 400 hours of television. They've got about 400 movies on top of that. 400 hours of television sounds a lot, but when you break it down to series, you're talking about season 1 of Doctor Who, season 1 of Spooks, and half a dozen other TV shows, and that's about it.
Bit of Blackadder.
Which is the Blackadder, yes, and Fawlty Towers, and a lot of classic British BBC comedy, which is, it's fine if that's what you like, and if you don't, there's nothing there for you at all. So we put that to them at the launch, and they said, okay, fair call, we've got a very limited range at this stage. We are adding content all the time, and this is day one. It just gets better from here. And I figured for $10 a month, which is the opening bid, give it a go. If you don't like it and there's nothing there, then you've spent 2 coffees worth of money, and you can resign your account straight away. It's month to month. You don't sign up for 6 months or 12 months or anything like that. There's no hardware to buy. You just kick off and start watching television. So having got it yesterday, I watched episode 1 of Spooks, which I've never seen somehow. I watched a little bit of Doctor Who to see if it works, and then I watched Drive, and then I watched the Milagro Beanfield War, and a whole bunch of movies that I haven't seen.
So if you watched Drive, you would have paid separately for that?
No, that's a freebie. That's included in the subscription.
Is it? It's a new release. Yep. That literally is a new release.
It absolutely is, and so we put that to them at the launch, because Drive is how long's that been out? About 6 months, 5 months, 6 months.
No, on DVD, it's only just come out.
That's right, and the producers and the owners of the rights to Drive are a little bit more enlightened than your average punter, and they said, no, we'll make it video on demand. There are 2 levels of video rights that take place in this environment. There's SVOD, S stands for subscriber video on demand, and TVOD, which is transaction video on demand. And they're opposite ends of the spectrum. SVOD tends to be handed out for movies and TV series that have been around for ages, and you just want them in your back catalogue so that you've got something, to fill out the day, if you like. TVOD, transactional, is what you do for your new releases, and that is heavily governed by rights holders demanding huge return on their investment from that particular segment. So most of the new release movies are transactional video on demand. You've got to pay extra for them. Quickflix or Netflix or whoever's offering them online has to pay per movie.
Right.
So some of them are more enlightened than others, and as I say, whoever it is behind Drive decided, no, we'll move straight to SVOD for this. So it's there as part of your subscription.
Okay.
And that's the way of the future. We just pay one fee and you get access to all of this stuff. It'll start with the back catalogue and it'll work its way forward into the more recent stuff.
So as you say, a bit of criticism yesterday, including me. I got on Twitter and sort of had a moan about this new service, but basically because I think it was around the reporting. It was like, oh, this is going to be this is the game changer. This is the thing that's coming to the market. It's going to shake everything up. It's going to steal customers away from Sky. I saw in a news report this morning. But based on the current content that is available there, and also the devices that it's on some Sony Bravia TV, and it's on your PC, and your Mac, and that's about it really. On the PS3.
The Sony gear and on the web, and that's it at the moment. But as they said, they're planning to have 80% of the devices by the end of the year. You'll be able to get it on your Xbox, on your Samsung TV. Samsung really get this stuff. They're really charging in there. And then on tablets as well. And that's really the game changer when you start to have the full suite of kit available. For your subscription, you would get 5 devices. So I'd have it on my PC, I'd have it on my television, my iPhone, my iPad, and then I'd be done. I think that's what size I have, 4 devices. Maybe stick it on the laptop as well, or if you've got a work computer, and you want to put it on that, then it's okay. It's one account, and you can watch 5 movies or 5 different things at the same time. They don't care.
So now granted, this is the first unlimited streaming apart from the pay-per-view movies. We'll ignore that for a second. It's a reasonable sort of big deal that is launched in New Zealand, but based on content, it's no different to say what's currently available in the Zune marketplace, say on the Xbox 360 or on your Windows phone. It's definitely doesn't have the range that iTunes has. So
iTunes best anyway.
Right. And with these content arrangements still locked up by Sky and TVNZ and TV3 with regards to television, say like HBO content, that sort of thing, how is this ever going to get any better when it comes to content?
Well, that's the whole point. They've signed the deals. A lot of the movie studios that are behind this, they've got Universal, they've got Warner's, they've got a couple of the others. They're really trying it on to see how the market reacts. And if we all sit there and say, there's nothing there, I'm not going to bother, $10 a month, I can't be bothered, I'll just carry on stealing it, then they're likely to turn around and say, oh, well, New Zealand, there is no demand. There's no demand, we won't give them any more, so we'll just carry on with our grand game plan. Because, of course, you've got to remember that New Zealand is, in the grand scheme of things, quite a small country. We're very mature in terms of we're English-speaking, for a start off. We understand the internet. We've got good connectivity at this kind of level in terms of wanting content. We're relatively underserved, so there's a huge potential there. But if we don't take it up, they'll just turn around and say, okay, well, we'll go back to the big boys again. We've done the UK and Brazil. We'll work now on India and then maybe Australia, and then in about 5 years' time, what about that other place? Oh, yeah, New Zealand. Yeah, we'll give them a go again. So for my $10 a month, I'm happy to pay them that and encourage them to do more as quickly as possible. And I think, having said for years now on this show as well as everywhere else that I want online content, it'd be a bit churlish of me to turn around and say, well, yeah, but, Doctor Who, I already stole that. Yeah. So, I'll support them. And for $10 a month, I'm quite happy to do that.
So you're going to invest in it. You may not use the service very much, but you will invest in it.
And I will treat it as seed funding for a new venture. It's the New Zealand equivalent of Kickstarter. If somebody else comes along, then this is great. If we get lots of competition in the market, fantastic. But we've got to actually put our money where our mouth is, I think, and say, okay, I want online content, so let's stack up and help these guys out. If it all falls apart, well, at least we gave it a shot. But we didn't sit there on day one and say, well, it's not a game changer, so screw it, I'm not going to touch it. I think it will get better over time. If it doesn't, then I'll stop paying, and so will everybody else, and that'll be a disaster for the online content business in New Zealand.
Even though it's the big bad monster because it's Sky and they half-own Fatso, did Fatso really miss a trick by not getting into this years ago?
Well, so I've spoken to John Follett at Sky about some of these issues, because clearly everybody blames Sky for, you're the only player in town. You've got all the rights sewn up, and that's it. You guys are holding up the development of this area. Fatso would be the logical choice. That's where Netflix started. It's how Quickflix operates in Australia. People like getting DVDs through the post. I mean, it's a dinosaur industry as far as I can tell, but it's still really quite large. And Follett said to me that, in fact, they don't have any of these SVOD rights. They're desperately trying to acquire them, but they don't have anything that, according to him anyway, that would hold up the rest of the industry from going out and acquiring subscriber video on demand rights so that they could offer this kind of service. And that is that's quite interesting, because we've always assumed that Sky and TVNZ are just basically resisting the urge to move. And he said, no, he's busy trying to negotiate with them as quickly as possible to get access to these rights to offer the service. But they are a different set of rights. So when he gets Game of Thrones to screen on Soho, that's television rights, first screening television rights. Then he's got to buy transactional video on demand rights for the same show, and then he's got to buy subscriber video on demand rights for the same show, and so on and so on and so on. And finally, this whole house of cards is a huge, costly experience, and eventually it'll come crashing down, because people like us will say to HBO, well, why don't you just sell the show to us?
Direct.
And we'll buy it. And that's the answer for the future. There is no need for all of this infrastructure. In the old days there was. They had to move tapes around the world and the rest of it. They still do that. But ultimately HBO will sit down and say, okay, well, we're going to make a show and we're going to sell it to Paul and Wammo, and that's fine. They'll pay us $1 a show or a monthly subscription fee, and they'll make their money directly.
And we will get Game of Thrones on Monday afternoon.
Oh, that's right. Straight away. Season 2 coming up soon. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the answer to it all. We don't need all this infrastructure in the middle to provide us with stuff, because we've got the capability. We've got these things. We've got the internet, so we don't need them. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Paul. If you want to check out Quickflix, quickflix.co.nz. It's an Flix, by the way. Paul Brislen on Twitter. We will see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Take care.